Haney Biz presents Entrepreneurs Unlimited. Here's your host, Mark Haney.
What kind of pain do you like? Yeah, you heard me. What kind of pain do you like? You know what? There's different kinds of pain. You ever come home at the end of the day, you've worked late, you're completely exhausted, both mentally and physically. You say to your wife, you know what? I'm just going to crack open a beer, relax for a bit, and probably hitting the hay early. And she kind of looks at you with that frown. You know, she's kind of like, what? Not again. You know, that's pain. That frown is a little bit of pain. It's a little guilt feeling that you get, I guess, after day of grinding it out. So that's a kind of pain that I've felt. But have you ever caught yourself saying, I don't know how. Nobody ever gave me the opportunity.
I'm trying not to laugh right now.
But there's only so much time at the end of the day in one day. Or here's my favorite. I had a difficult childhood.
Right.
There's different kinds of pain. And I think we have to, as entrepreneurs, it's kind of like, what kind of pain do you like? Right? Excuses for not reaching our God-given potential, they're all true. They're all there. They're all around us. But they're just excuses, right? Aren't they just excuses?
That's all they are. Yeah.
I feel your pain. Tell me about it. We can do nothing, and there's a pain associated with doing nothing. Or you can work like crazy. You can beat yourself up every day going for your dreams. And there's pain associated with going for that. What kind of pain do you like? Marcus, I'm here with Marcus Haney and Tom Cisneros, my good buddies. You guys like pain, I know that. What kind of pain?
I know Marcus likes pain.
What kind of pain do you prefer? A certain type of pain, Marcus?
I don't know. I like the fight. I like the struggle. I like getting in there, getting your hands dirty, and going for it, like you were saying, and going for broke.
Doesn't it make victory that much sweeter if you just left it all on the field? You're
Absolutely.
Bloodied. What is that? It's hanging on your wall. It's something about being bloodied and battered and.
Oh, the Man in the Arena.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite things ever.
In the Arena by Teddy Roosevelt,
Yeah.
my favorite quote, and it really talks about leaving it all in the arena, and those that do, the entrepreneurs that do, are really the man in the arena. But I mean, in business, we're all at different points, at different stages in our business life. There's some, we've talked about my C Student's Guide for Entrepreneurial Success, right? There's 3 S's: show up, shock 'em, and systematize, right? And there's also the 4th S that some of us have achieved, and that's sell, right? The 4th S. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's doing this so they can sell their business, but show up, shock 'em, and systematize. So there's a group of people, some of us are at different stages where we're thinking, I think I have a dream. I think I have an idea. I just don't know what to do with it. And I'm at that stage where maybe I'm thinking about showing up, right? It's almost time to show up. Maybe I need to make my move. Maybe I need to show up. And there's others of us in business where we're at the beginning stages. We've shown up, right? We're there. We're in the game, kind of, sort of. But have we really shown up, right? Did we show up with violence of action? Okay, so there's some of us that have shown up, and we're looking to maybe create a differentiation, right? A shock 'em. Have we shocked them yet? So as we move from, hey, I've showed up, to finding differentiation in my product, in my service, in the way that I do my job, am I shocking them? And then there's others of us that we've created that differentiation, right? We've showed up, we figured out a differentiation, and now we're thinking about competitive advantage. We're thinking about, okay, if I can really shock them, well, if I systematize my processes, if there's things that I do in organization to systematize, I can scale my organization. I can scale my idea and reach big heights. Because we all know that if you scale a business, if you scale something to a degree that's different, it can create a competitive advantage, and you get leverage associated with that size. So that's really, I mean, as we all look at ourselves in our businesses, we have, Marcus, how many businesses we got going? We got a few businesses over at the Haiti Biz Hub.
Yeah, we have 7 at the hub. I think 15 total.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things going. Now let's talk. Let's talk about where we're at with one of our businesses. Let's pick a business and let's talk about where we're at in our life cycle. And I've chosen to ask you, Marcus and Tom, about the radio show. Okay, we're sitting here talking about Entrepreneurs Unlimited, right? It's part of the Haney Biz project.
One of the newer ones.
But
We
it's
should
a
clarify
startup.
that.
Yeah,
Right,
what are we in, show 38, 39?
Yeah, I think it's 35
35,
today.
yeah. We're new. I mean, we're just trying to, we've shown up.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I'm thinking.
So, I mean, Marcus, now you're in charge of marketing and the radio show is a part of our marketing attempt. Tell us what you're thinking in terms of, now that you've shown up, what are we doing from here?
Yeah, we've shown up. I mean, we putting in the 60, 80 hours a week on the Haney Biz project. We are here at the radio show every Saturday. We're going and talking to local entrepreneurs in the area and putting ourselves out there. So we're looking for our differentiator. We're in that search for shock 'em phase, I would say. So
Have we found anything that's working yet? Is there anything on the radio show that we're happy about?
Oh, yeah. We're happy about the connections that we're making in here, and we're loving all the people that we're meeting and having a fantastic time. But we want feedback from folks like you that are out there listening. If you want to hear a business idea or question from Mark, shoot us an email over at info@haneybiz.com.
What kind of feedback are we having, though? We're getting some feedback now.
Yeah, people want to hear more Coach Haney, I've been trying to drag out of you for a few months now.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
You coached high school Little League sports and things along those lines, and you really impacted a lot of people. And I think you have the ability to go out and reach people and help them with their entrepreneurial dream. And I think that revolutionizing the entrepreneurial revolution here in the area is really part of what we're doing.
But aren't the guests that come on this show are super successful guys? I mean, later in the show, we're going to have a couple guys on that are really, they're at that stage where they're systematizing and scaling their businesses, going national, reaching out of the Sacramento area, and really doing some big things. And I think these guests that we have on the show, they add such value to our listeners. I think people love hearing the stories of real world entrepreneurs who have really done things in their life. I mean, you can learn a certain amount going to school. You can learn a certain amount by listening to other people, but really you got to get in the game.
Absolutely. Listening to your customers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So right now we're talking about listening to our customers. So I know you've had the Coach Haney piece is something that we've heard a lot of. We've heard people say, hey, we want to hear a little bit more about Mark's story and can we get Mark's advice? Hey, I got a question for Mark. And those kind of things have come up when we run into people around town. Right. But we really haven't talked on the show about how people ought to reach out to us and begin a dialogue with Mark Haney, with the Haney Biz Project. What do you think the best way for people to engage us, to begin a conversation with me, with you, with us? How should they talk to us?
Well, we started this thing off and we decided, hey, we're going to go full social. That's where the puck is going to be. So we want to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position to be able to reach our entire audience. So I think as far as reaching out to us, go on Facebook, check out our videos. We're doing some really cool Haney Biz Project videos, as well as these shows get videotaped and all of the guests get recognized on there. So send us a message or comment below. We want to hear what you guys have to say and how we can help you build your dreams.
There actually is a tremendous amount of content on YouTube, right? And accessible through the website right now. If you can maybe clarify what they could see on there and what we're working on as far as the future to give people the ability to maybe take in some more information from Coach Haney here. Yeah,
no doubt. You can go to haneybiz.com, check out our podcast, our YouTube channel. Everything we record from behind-the-scenes stuff at Haney Biz Project, and we also are doing some Coach Haney videos called The Haney Biz Project, which is really diving into Mark's mentality and how he has built businesses, and we're really excited about them. Think that they're going to help you guys out, and if you want to hear anything more or you have answers or want clarification, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll get back to you ASAP. So coming up in the show, we've got a couple of guys, like I talked about, that have really built some businesses. They've
They begin to systematize and actually scale their companies. And I believe there are 4 key decisions that you've got to get right when you're scaling your business. The decisions around the people, the decisions around the strategy, the decisions around execution, and the decisions around cash, right? Those 4 decisions have got to be made correctly if you want to scale your business, right? Liquidity is like oxygen, right? You never really think about it until you run out, right? So coming up in the show, we're going to have Steve Stossen, founder and CEO of Notary Express. But coming up after the break, we will meet Darren McAdams, founder and CEO of Food Jets. I'm Mark Haney. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140 KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at haneybiz.com. All right, and welcome back. We are here with Darren McAdams, founder and CEO of Food Jets. How you doing this morning, Darren?
Good, Mark. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming down here on a Saturday. And we want to share your entrepreneurial story, but let's start with talking about the company. What is Food Jets?
So Food Jets is an on-demand app-based ordering system. It is basically restaurant meals delivered to your curb in 10 minutes or less.
Okay, so if I want to order Chili's or something like that, and I want it at my house, I can have it in 10 minutes?
Not corporate restaurants and not real restaurants. It's basically, that's another company we have.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know you guys have a few companies. I'm sorry.
So, no, not Chili's or Applebee's or anything like that. It's local mom and pop restaurants where we have them prepackaged meals, bring them to a big facility, like we call it the hangar. We've modified our vehicles, we call jets. We've taken out the seats, added electrical. The restaurants make the food at the restaurant in our containers. Then they bring them to our warehouse, drop them off. We stage them into the cars. And then from that point, the drivers come in, grab a car, and go to a designated zone within the city. And then they drive around. Customers download our app, push a button, and our food shows up. And our average time is about 7.5 minutes right now.
So I do this out of an app on my phone, or I do it on the website?
So right now it's app-based only, iOS and Android.
Okay.
But in 2 weeks, we add online ordering. Our customers were screaming for online ordering.
Yeah, okay,
But
so
right
this
now
is
it
actually a
app only.
new launch of a business that's been around for quite some time.
So Food to You is my main business. I dropped out of college, started in a garage in Citrus Heights in 93, 94. And so we've been going for 20 plus years. Food Jets we launched in November. It was a 2-year project building up to it. We launched it. So right now we do have 2 companies. We have the Food to You side of things where we do deliver from Chili's, BJ's Brewhouse, Chevy's, Rubio's, and a lot of mom and pop. So Food to You starting, like I said, 93, 94. Fast forward 22 years, we're in 13 markets, 6 states, and we have 1,500 restaurants.
At Food to You.
At Food to You. So
Yes.
we started with 10 in a garage, and now we're at 1,500, like I said, 6 states, 13 markets, and we're headquartered here in Sacramento. So we're one of the larger restaurant delivery services. But looking at Food to You and how I'm kind of bashing it, I don't mean to, but it's basically a slower, more expensive delivery service of different restaurants. So you have a full menu, like at Chili's,
Right.
where Food Jets, you only have 5 or 6 items. But it's delivered in such quick speed, and there's no minimum order, there's no delivery fee, no tipping, anything like that. It's just, and all our meals are under $10 with Food Jets. So again, you open the app with Food Jets, you push a button, and a car pulls up.
What geographic area are you covering with Food Jets?
So Food Jets, we started in the downtown Midtown, and then we've expanded to East Sac, Arden, and Natomas now. And and then soon we want to get up to Citrus Heights, Roseville, all the suburbs around Sacramento, including Folsom, Elk Grove, Davis, Rancho, Citrus Heights.
Is it fair to say that on Food Jets, you're at that stage in business where you're trying to develop a proof of concept, trying to get the bugs worked out of the system a little bit?
Absolutely. So it's our test market, right? We launched it. Our goal is to scale it into all our other cities and then beyond. But in the beginning, as you know, we have bugs and we want to work out in the process and everything. It's absolutely exploded though. So we've been going just a little under 4 months. Mind you, we launched during the holiday season, right? Which is not the best time to launch a business. So we launched in November. Right now we had, total downloads are 8,000 downloads. We have 3,000 customers. We've had 1,000 orders that we've delivered in under 5 minutes. And total meals delivered is almost 12,000 meals so far. So we have an unbelievable amount of repeat customers and customers that we add every day to the system.
Okay, so you have Food Jets, you have Food to You. Let's talk about Food to You and getting started, because really Food Jets would not exist if you hadn't gone through the Food to You experience, which is really taken off as well.
Correct. Yeah. No, food to you, absolutely. That'd be into food jets. With all the frustrating aspects of operationally what we face, and on the customer side of things, the expense and the slowness of food to you. I mean, don't get me wrong. Food to you is a great business.
Yeah.
But it is slower. People these days, they don't want to talk to anybody. They want to open their app, push a button, and they want their food now.
So Food to You does not have an app.
That it does not.
How do you order on Food to You?
Web-based or call-in. So we
Okay.
actually have people faxing us orders still, believe it or not,
Okay.
because we're so old school. People fax us, people email us, people call in, we take it over the phone, and then website. Website is probably 60% of our orders at Food to You. The rest is people just call in, talk to an operator, which, as you know, is for food jets, it's all automated. We can't have, in California, everything's so expensive, we can't have any more people taking phone calls for a $20 order. It doesn't make sense financially. We still do it because a lot of our customers are older with Food to You. They've been with us for a long time, and they just call in and say, hey, I need a burger from Chili's. Great, we'll do it. Eventually, I'm not sure how that's going to play out.
Okay, so Food to You is a delivery service for restaurants. You go to the restaurant, pick up the Chili's burger, and then deliver it to somebody. You're doing that in 6 states, and you've been doing that for 20-something years.
Correct, absolutely.
Okay, learned a lot. Now you've decided to use technology to help things be a little bit more efficient, but you're not teaming up with the major restaurant chains. You're teaming up with mom and pop restaurants to create your own menu item.
Correct. So we team up. We have 15 restaurants exclusively for their category of cuisine. So we have one Italian restaurant, one Chinese, one Thai, one Mexican, so on and so forth. And that really brings a lot of the revenue right to that restaurant. Plus, we don't ask them to deliver 15 different meals each time. If you had a restaurant, we'd ask you, hey, bring us the one burrito dinner with rice and beans tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Give us 50 of them. And you drop it off, and we put it in the cars and go. Next, you may have a lunch order the next day with whatever, a turkey sandwich with potato salad or whatever it is the next day. So it's only one item from that restaurant, but we have a group of restaurants that bring it in.
Okay,
So
so
it's
the
a really
restaurants
diverse
bring
menu.
the food to you, and then
Yep.
you redistribute it. So
Correct.
that saves you from having to drive over to the restaurant and pick up the food.
Correct. Where
Makes it
Food
more
to You,
efficient.
you're right. The drivers have to go to the customer orders, put in the order at the restaurant. Driver goes to the restaurant and then delivers to the customer. So it's slower. We have that added stop. And then, especially with the corporate restaurants, they take so long to prepare meals. Our drivers end up sitting at the restaurant. So that's where, like I was saying, operationally, it's frustrating for us having drivers sitting in all these corporate restaurants, and our customers get mad, right? Because they're sitting in all these corporate restaurants, and it delays their order because our average delivery time is 45, 75. Where Food to You, it's Food Jets, it's 7.5 minutes.
I'm Mark Haney. We are talking to Darren McAdams, founder and CEO of Food Jets and Food to You, and he's sharing the story about how to create a proof of concept and how to actually systematize a business so that it can be scaled. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140 KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at haneybiz.com. And welcome back. We are here with Darren McAdams, founder and CEO of Food Jets and Food to You. And I want to get back into your story a little bit about how you made the pivot from, or you're making the pivot from Food to You to the new technology and Food Jets. But as I look, I could look into the through the glass, and I see my good buddy, our good buddy, Doug Esposito of Owen Dunn Insurance, and I have to think that risk with all these cars on the road and the delivery system itself has got a lot of risk built into it. How do you guys view risk in your company?
It is at Food Jets versus Food to You. Food to You, drivers use their own vehicles, their own insurance, stuff like that. I mean, we have umbrella stuff, but Food Jets, absolutely, there's a lot of risk. We have our own fleet now, right? We've never had that before. We have employees, which we've never had before on the driver side of things. We usually use self-employed people on the Food to You side. So absolutely, on the Food Jet side, we have a warehouse, we have cars. Drivers are losing hubcaps, backing into each other. Hopefully, Doug didn't hear that. Anyway, there is a lot more risk, obviously, and a lot more cost is involved with insuring your own fleet versus not having a fleet. And so, again, it's all new territory to us. We've only been doing it 4 months. And anyways.
Yeah, so as you develop this new game plan for your pivot, right, pivoting from Food to You to Food Jets, which is getting the food to the curbside in less than 10 minutes, I talked about at the beginning of the show, when I think about scaling a business, there's really 4 decisions that I've got to get right. And they're not easy to get right. They're difficult. And I know you've got to be going through, a lot of decisions right now on the people, right? You got to get the people right. The strategy, you have to get the strategy right. And then you got to figure out a way to execute. And then the cash, right? You got to get those 4 decisions right. Right now, which one is most difficult in terms of getting those decisions made?
So the people I have with me since Food to You started in 93, 94, I still have people with me, probably 12 people that have been with me 10 plus years. So my team of executives, managers are solid. I don't think there's a better team out there. Loyal as well. So that's easy. The strategy and model for Food Jets is there. It's with any startup, I think. It's cash. I mean, Food to You is basically, we're primarily self-funded. We do have 3 angel investors. But really, we're self-funded from Food to You. Without Food to You, I'm not sure we could pull this off.
Yeah, luckily, I won't say luckily, that's not the right term, because of the hard work and the loyalty of that team. You guys have built a business that, is thriving in Food to You, but you decided to make that pivot. But yeah, it takes cash.
Lots of cash. I mean, that is the number one thing, with all startups. It's how much cash are you burning through? And we're burning through a lot right now. Yeah. And then can you withstand that time frame before you're profitable, right? I mean, you draw your line and you dip, and then when do you exceed that dip? And, time will tell. I think we're going to exceed it faster than anticipated. But yeah, it's cash.
How soon do you expect to be profitable on Food Jets?
We project 9 months.
Okay.
I think we're a little behind that.
Okay. So it's going to take a bit to get there.
Absolutely. And, when you launch, things are changing. A year ago, Food Jets was not in business, and our outlook was completely different than it is now that we've been open 4 months. And you look at what it is now versus what it was or what we thought it was going to be, and it's completely different. So now fast forward from here a year, and it's probably going to be, again, a lot different model because you tweak, and I'm famous. My team's always like, oh my God, are you changing things again? And yes, we are, because hopefully I'm right most of the time. Well, they don't. I say that, they don't. But I do change things, and it is because you look down the road a little bit and goes, okay, this is not working. This is not going to work, or it's inefficient, or it's too expensive. And so before you run out of cash, you want to make those decisions that'll better your company to save the cash so you can be in it for the long haul.
I think this is kind of one of the age-old problems of business is you launch a business, it's not instantaneously profitable, and you've got to get to profit before you run out of cash. I talked to several entrepreneurs that face that situation. Now, you're going to be pitching to a group of venture capitalists here this Tuesday. I'll be there as well. I know there's something going on. Velocity Venture Capitals is having, I think it's called Capitalize. It's our good buddy Jack Crawford running that, and Monique Brown. With the Kings. Yeah. So tell us what's going on there.
So there was about 100 companies that submitted, I guess, or that they chose, and then they came up with the semifinals of the top 32 startups. We made it, and so they gave us Monday. Last week they gave us, hey, in the next Tuesday we're going to have an event down in downtown, and you guys are going to have a 3-minute pitch. They did it like the college basketball brackets. There's 4 groups of 8 teams of 18 businesses.
Right.
You get 3 minutes. They judge you, and then you move to the next floor. It starts on the ground floor, and then you just move up your bracket. So you go from 32 to 16 to 8 to 4. And then hopefully we're in the Final Four. It'd be nice because then you pitch it at a real Kings game with 17,000 fans, and you have a 30-second video they play, and then the fans vote for the best startup.
Oh, wow. And that's great advertising. If you can get in front of the entire arena. All right, you better get this, Darren. Now, I have some other friends that are pitching that day and maybe a couple other that have been guests on the show. So I will be out there with Jack Crawford and Monique Brown and you, Darren, and wishing you the best of luck. You're a great speaker. You've got a great scalable opportunity. But just like any other business, liquidity, it's like oxygen. You never really think about it until you run out. Coming up after the break, you are going to meet Steve Stossen, founder and CEO of Notary Express. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140, KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at HaneyBiz.com. All right, and we are here with Steve Stossen, founder and CEO of Notary Express. How you doing today, Steve?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. Now, I haven't known you a super long time. We're in the Entrepreneurs Organization together, and I know how successful you are, but you're also so humble, and I think it's been really refreshing to get to know you. So we're going to share your story a little bit today, and Don't be humble, okay? Be you. Be a little bit out there.
All right, man.
All right. So give us Notaries Express.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your business.
Notaries Express, we're a nationwide signing service. So we're related to real estate in the means of we'll find you the notary, and we basically contract with all the title companies. They'll call us up or email us or put an order through our website and say, hey, we need a notary in New York tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then we go out and we search that notary. It's not a specific notary, not just like a regular notary. It's more of a signing agent. So they go out and do a real estate transaction.
Gotcha. So if I want to get something notarized, you will send the notary to my office to
your office,
get the notary.
Your home. Doesn't matter. Could be anywhere you want. Side of the road, in a car.
Now, we do a lot of house flipping, so I'm going into title companies all the time, signing, and the ambiance of the title company. If they come to me, I miss the women in the little work outfits, the little jumpsuits or whatever they wear, the business suits. But they come to us. And it takes you from having to go out to the title company.
Right. So it takes it away from that 9 to 5 thing where if you're a busy guy and it's hard for you to get away during the middle of the day, it makes it convenient for you and most likely your family because most people own a home with their wife or they got to sign off in some way, somewhere or the other. But to get it back to the house, put it knee to knee at a dinner table or something like that, get it done. It's a little bit more intimate. It's a new style of business that was created since the 2008 or before the 2008 boom.
Yeah. Now, how did you get into the business, Steve?
My wife and I both actually worked in escrow. So we were behind the desk. We worked with other notaries and other signing services. And, that's basically kind of we seen a niche. We were given our business to another service that for us didn't provide a good quality. And, we just said, you know what, we can do this. We can do it better. We want to be the Neiman Marcus of this industry.
Okay, the great service.
Great customer service and just provide above and beyond.
When did you decide that it was scalable?
When a client asked if I had a notary in another state, I said, I got you.
Okay. And then what happened so you did that one in another state? So, because you guys are nationwide.
We are.
How did you take, you finally realized, man, I've got the Neiman Marcus concept. It's proving itself out at the local level and then taking it nationally. Walk us through that process.
Like I said, for us, it was about kind of identifying some of the national accounts, trying to find, because a lot of the escrow officers mostly do local business. It's easy for us to either do the local signings yourself. We're mobile notary and we can go out and pick up a set of docs from your local escrow officer, drive down to the next town, get it signed, drop it back off in the morning. We had identified a couple accounts that were national and they needed, the service where we can come in and say, hey, we're going to be able to take your order from A to Z and get you back the docs and they'll be nice and fine and you can go ahead and, fund the loan and do whatever you got to do. So we had to identify some of those accounts and just adapt to it and, figure it out kind of as we went along, really.
And, scaling something and taking this concept, this service concept, this Neiman Marcus concept of service nationally, we talked with our previous guest about the 4 key decisions that you've got to get right when you're scaling something. The people, you got to have the people, the strategy, the execution. And with Darren's case, cash was at the front of mind today. What's been the biggest challenge?
Well, for us, we don't have a big overhead when it comes to scaling nationally. So for us, it was a lot easier. It's just a different type of business, a different type of market for us. It was more about making sure we find the right notaries in other states, making sure they're good, and how do we pre-qualify those notaries? So we have our set parameters that we go through to make sure that this guy's not a dud.
Yeah.
We have to make sure we background screen every notary, make sure that they're completely legit. They have their certifications, that they're actually a notary, because we're also sending people into homes, with people, with families.
So the people, it sounds like that was the key, especially when you're delivering a Neiman Marcus type of level of service.
Right.
You've got to have the right people. So, okay, so you've had a ton of success. You're very, very humble. Got a national notary business, Notaries Express. Now, let's talk about where you started in the beginning for a minute. I know you had to grow up quick. Tell us about that. You grew up very young.
Yeah, I grew up in Long Beach with a single mom. My mom was a bartender for really most of her life, and she just tried to do whatever she could to make ends meet. From an early age, I really had to grow up fast. Like you said, I had to drop out of school early. That was one of the
Drop
biggest.
out of high school early.
Out of high school. I actually have a 9th grade education. I stopped at 9th grade because I ended up going into, I really needed to work. My mom didn't have any money, and I probably should have stuck with it and just pushed on. I could have done that, but for me at the moment, I left the house because it wasn't good. It wasn't a good situation at home. My mom ended up becoming succumb to an addiction and stuff like that. So for me, the best thing for me was to get out and get away, and I had to make money. So I started working for a auto body shop. So when I was 14, I worked for Earl Scheib. I don't know how legal that is, but I did it.
Hey, you were putting food on your own table at that
right,
point
I
at
sure
14.
Was. Yes. And, and I think I always had the entrepreneur spirit. When I was turned about like 15, 16, I could do this, man. The guys over at the shop would teach me how to do a little body work. So I just said, man, here I am in the hood in Long Beach. I would talk to some guys like, hey, I'll fix your car. You got a couple dents in there. I got a dent puller, sander, and all that. And I would just start fixing cars in front of my house.
Scrappy.
Real scrappy. So just doing that and just trying to get along, just trying to get my life together at a young age, really.
Well, it's amazing that you dropped out of high school and have had this success that you've had. You can't have regrets. But in my mind, knowing you a little bit, is that you have developed this work ethic. Right. Tell me about your work ethic. What's a day look like for you?
My phone never really stops ringing. I just keep my line open to any of my employees or my notaries, really, for that matter. So my day usually starts at about like 6 a.m. I'll start getting calls and just take care of business, and it usually doesn't stop till 9 or 10 because we're a national service. So we have notaries in Hawaii all the way to New York, and sometimes those calls come. Doesn't matter when somebody's at the table and they need to answer a question. I'm there for them.
It's amazing to me the success you had, and you're still working the 15-hour days, because I know where you live. I remember as a kid, my dad would say, hey, those houses up there on Sierra College Boulevard? Someday, son, those will be the nicest houses in all of Sacramento. And that's where my dad was right. Those houses up there in the Cabot Ranch area and up off of Sierra College with the great views, you live in one of those mansions, okay? You're just the entrepreneur.
We got the small house over there.
Yeah.
We're the smallest one on the
Okay, yeah. But you live in one of those houses. You have achieved the American dream, and yet you still can't shut it off. 6 a.m, 9 o'clock at night. You've got the beautiful wife, the perfect family, and look at you. And you're here on a Saturday sharing your story. 9th grade dropout. This is the American dream, as far as I'm concerned. This is really cool. What's next for you? What drives you to continue to push like that?
It's just I don't know. Just being the man for my wife and my family is, I think, what drives me the most. I married up. That's for sure. I think a lot of us probably did, but I really married up. I don't know where I'd be without my wife, and I owe pretty much everything to my wife. She held me together, and she lit a fire. That's for sure. And she still does. That's probably why I work so hard.
No, you guys work together too.
We do work together. Yes.
Now, okay, so that's a lot of hours. And then, is there a way that you guys can kind of like flip a switch and compartmentalize business, and then kind of focus on, the family and you guys?
It's near impossible when you're, doing homework and work to home and home to work, and it's all intermingled. But, we find our ways. We'll try to do date nights and just kind of not talk about business or, just try to separate as much as we can. But, we love the game just as much as anybody. And we love our business. We love our employees, and we love our notaries. And we just, we love it.
Okay, so you dropped out in the 9th grade. Any regrets about that time?
I do have regrets about that. it's kind of twofold. You know, I look back and I'm like, man, what would my life be like if I finished school? You know, what kind of life would I have? And I regret not having that education, and also kind of, you know, just being able to have that in my pocket to say, hey, kids, you know, Dad did it, so you know, you should do it. Well, but for me, when I look back at it, I say, I don't know where I would be, and I would hate to have any other life but my own right now.
It's interesting because I feel like you and I have some common ground there. I didn't drop out in the 9th grade. I didn't get great grades in high school, and then I didn't go to college. And I think so many times you build a business, you've had some success, and you're sitting in a room with everybody who's got, oh, you got your master's, or you got this, you got that. And people have done so much more in the way of scholastically than what you and I have done.
Right.
And I think in my younger ages, when I was younger, maybe your age, I was a little bit intimidated when I was around the private equity guy that had the Harvard MBA and so on.
Oh yeah.
You ever feel that?
I every day. You know, sometimes just talking to people, actually getting into EO. You know, for me, that was a big decision for me. I'm like, man, I'm really going to put myself out there. You know, and I just kind of came to a decision, like I just have to do it. You know, I have to do it. I have to let it be known. I can't, you know, not tell everyone or let everyone know who I am, because that's really who I am.
Well, I can tell you that who you are is very, I don't know, I think people are drawn to you very much. I know that I am, and I think there's an I don't mean this is a gay thing. I mean that this is, hey, there's seriously, you have this humble way about you, but you've had such success. You have nothing to apologize for, because you did it the hard way, man. Right. You didn't have the parents that handed you the opportunities. You didn't have it. So what you have done, in my opinion, is so much more special than what a lot of us have done. And so I got to hand it to you. And I am so impressed. I appreciate you, Steve, coming on the show today, sharing your story. And as we before we cut to break, I want to thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
I want to thank Darren McAdams for joining us as well, Food Jets and Food to You. I want to thank our sponsor, Limitless Limo, ll916.com. And I also want to touch back on what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Help me help you. Marcus mentioned that we want to help entrepreneurs in our community to build businesses, to chase their dreams. And how are we going to know what's in your head if we don't hear from you? We want to know, if you got a question for Mark, you got a question for me, you got a question for one of our guests, share it with me through social media, and I will do my best to share it on the show. You know, I'm with you. You can email me. You know, lean on me. I'm here for you. I'm doing this show so that we can ignite the entrepreneurial revolution here in the Sacramento area. I'm doing it to help entrepreneurs. I'm doing it to help people if I can. Like Steve. I mean, Steve doesn't need my help today, but, you know, those guys were somewhere along the line, somebody helped somebody with something. And I want to, if I can, I'll be that guy for you. I'll be that big brother or that guy that's been there a little bit, the entrepreneur next door. I'll be that for you if you need a friend. So lean on me. Coming up after the break, I will share some closing thoughts about scaling your business. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140, KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at HaneyBiz.com. We talked today about the pain of standing still versus the pain of actually getting in the game and going for it. Either one has a certain amount of pain. And so, I mean, today's show I thought was really interesting because we're talking about guys that have built something. They've gone through some struggles, but they're building something and they're systematizing and they're working on scaling their business, which is not the easiest thing in the way to do. One has, cash on the front of the brain, and the other has had to find a way to get the right people around him. And it's interesting to know that. And at 52, you pick up things, and sometimes you pick up things in the strangest ways. I had a player that I coached baseball, and I had a player. His name was Eric DeMello, and he was one of those guys that the pain didn't bother him. Right? The pain did not bother this guy. He would dive for the ball. He would do anything to catch the ball, regardless of the pain it put on his body, right? He's just one of those guys. And I remember going to him one day, and I said, Eric, you seem to get to every fly ball that comes out in the outfield. You get to everything. And then when you get there, you sacrifice your body. You don't care about the pain. I'm like, what? Eric, what goes into, how do you do that? And he says, you know what? It starts with a decision. It starts with the decision before the pitcher even throws the ball. I've decided I am going to catch that thing. I'm going to get there. And that's always stuck with me. It's like, man, sometimes it's so simple. You just have to decide. You just have to decide to get off the couch. You just have to decide to show up. You just have to decide to shock them, create a differentiation. You just have to decide to systematize so you can scale your company, so that you can build your dream, so you can be what you want to be. And I think it's those decisions that separate us. If you decide to do nothing and go for that kind of pain, okay, that's fine. You could have that coulda, woulda, shoulda pain. Maybe I could have done it if I would have only tried. No one gave me the opportunity. You can have that, and that's painful. I, like Eric DeMello and our guest today, and Marcus, we kind of like the pain of getting in the game and getting scuffed up a little bit, just a little bit better. It doesn't feel that great at times, but at the end of the day, it stays with you. And it reminds me of a story. I'm going to tell this. I'll try to sort of zip through this story. It was when I was getting ready to scale my business, and it was about systematizing. We had got to about 100 million. Okay, and we had a centralized distribution facility, and we were competing against branches all over the country. And we didn't have branches all over the country. We had desks all over an office. So when we wanted to create a store, we put a desk out in the middle of the floor and said, okay, you're this desk, this telephone, this human being, this sales rep, you're the manager of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, so that was our branch, a virtual branch concept. And we worked on that, and we worked on that, and worked on it, and we tried to systematize it and perfect it and get it right. And I remember we had started to get it right. We had got a little bit of scale. We were about 100 million, and Panasonic president calls up. Now, he had never really noticed us before, but his name was Frank DeFina. Frank was a great guy. Didn't know him very well. One day he called up my right-hand man, Brian. He said, hey, Brian, I need a big order. And Brian said, Mark, what do you want to do? How big is an order? How big of an order? A couple $1 million. And he had never called before. It was odd. So Brian and I agreed. Tell him we'll give him a $2 million order, but he's got to come out and visit us. I want to talk to him. And Frank's like, oh. So we place the order. Frank comes out, and he's sitting in my office, and I'm sharing the story. I had walked him around, pointing out all our different branches around the office. We had a 70,000 square foot building with offices, with desks all over the place, and he noticed this picture on my wall, and it was a picture of Barry Bonds, and as he was listening to my story of how we were trying to systematize and scale, he saw the picture of Barry, and he goes, hey, you know what? I used to live next door to Barry Bonds. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I used to live next door to Barry Bonds. And I thought that was interesting. And he lived in Pittsburgh. It was back when he was in Pittsburgh. And so in the olden days, he told me the story about how Barry, the ball had gone over to the next door neighbor's house, and his next door, and the guy that comes back with the ball is this guy, pro baseball player named Willie Mays. And Willie Mays is Barry Bonds' godfather, right? I think some of you guys know that. Right, yeah. And it was just kind of an interesting story. And so he takes in the story that I had about building our different businesses and all the branches around the country. And he said, and I think he kind of fell in love with that story. And he calls me up about a few months later, and we had talked about things like exclusivity and some ways that we could partner more strongly with Panasonic, and he and I just kind of hit it off in a cool way. And he comes back and he says, Mark, I want to partner with you. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, I want you to be the exclusive distributor for Panasonic in the U.S. And that was a game changer for us. I said, what are you talking about, Frank? And he said, yeah, I want you to be the exclusive distributor. And I said, Frank, I really appreciate that. And he said, you know what? I want to give you a gift to solidify our partnership as we became the exclusive. There's actually ended up setting up a second one, but as we ended up being the exclusive distributor, he handed me the baseball that had gone over into Barry Bonds' yard.
And that's the one you're holding right now.
This is it right there. And that's
Signed by Willie Mays?
Signed by Willie Mays. And I've got this as a memory of that game-changing event. We were able to double in size from there and create all kinds of great things. But you know what? Guys help you on the way up, right? Guys step there. I want to be there for you. God bless all of you guys that are taking a shot right now at your dream. All you guys out there that are attempting to do something that's never been done before. You know what? I am here for you. I will help you to reach your dreams. You call me, you find me. And you know what? It will help this great country we live in along the way. God bless you. God bless America. Never above you. Never below you. Always by your side.